Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner here for Jancast number 108, Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Everything's going good, Scott. How are you doing?
Hey, the leaves are falling. Next thing you know, we'll be out there with the leaf blowers and all that crap. And then not far behind that is liquid ice melt and ice melt season. So there you go.
Wow, on that thought. So I thought I was depressed because it was the last weekend of summer last weekend. And
Yeah, yeah.
the thought of having to shovel snow and rake leaves is
I'm
not
sorry.
that enticing. However, for the record, I personally think fall in the Northeast is one of the prettiest seasons that
Yep,
you can
yep,
see anywhere in the world. Um, it does come with a lot of work and it's somewhat short, but
yep.
it is pretty darn gorgeous.
Yeah, it's nice and cool out, nice sun and everything. So yeah, it's kind of fooling you into submission. And next thing you know, you get whacked in the side of the head with freezing rain.
Yep. So
Oh,
now everybody needs to run out and make sure they got their rakes and shovels imported from China.
oh, wait a second. That's
Wait a
not going to
second.
happen because they're on the 100+ container ships. Well, what a lead in, Mark. Thank you. What am I talking
Yeah,
about?
it's amazing. They said that the largest ports in the United States from China are Los Angeles and Long Beach, and right now, I mean, normally they're taking freighters like dozens a day and unloading them
Yeah,
into trucks and stuff. And if they get backlogged, they'll have like a freighter waiting out. Now there's over 100 ships offshore, and they don't even have anchor zones anymore. So they're
yeah,
having them just drift around, playing a really big version of bumper cars, I guess. I hope not, but apparently, if you're in the West Coast and you're staring offshore, it looks like an invasion. It's like
yeah,
a
yeah,
flotilla of these gigantic ships out there, 100 of them. I
yeah.
can't even imagine what that might look like from the beach.
Well, we'll post that picture below the video feed for Jancast so people can see it. It looks like Normandy or something.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of pictures I've seen of the Normandy
Yeah,
invasion.
except they're all full of containers. So the really bad news is, so those container ships have a whole bunch of stuff that we need, right? And then
Yeah,
and then
they're
the normal routine is that we get them in and they turn them around and send them right back to some other part, usually back to China or whatever. So because all these ships are tied up, they're not going back. So not only do we have the problem with the stuff that's on the current 100+ ships that we don't get in the US, now the whole supply chain is even more screwed up because the ships going back won't be there they won't get there to fill back up to come back over here with everything that we need.
and it's crazy. I mean, the demand for um, things that we might import from China and overseas is really high, and apparently customers are buying all kinds of stuff. We're not just stocking up on stuff from China; we're stocking up on stuff that made right here in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah, like our good old friend toilet paper, right?
Yeah. So apparently, some of the toilet paper manufacturers are saying that their demand for toilet paper is skyrocketing. But you have a solution to that, you told me.
Yes, my brother lives next door, and I believe I'm not going to give out his address, but he has a whole garage full of toilet paper. So I know I don't have to worry about it, but we'll see.
Right.
The best thing to do is, but you probably can't buy them because they come from China too, is to get a bidet and convert your commode over to one that uses water instead of toilet paper. But they come from China too, so I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do about it. But
Well, what's interesting is it's really some of the comments that come throughout the industry is it's not just toilet paper that's in
yeah,
high demand. So apparently, not just the commercial sector, but also the consumer market is starting to try to stock up on lots of different things.
yeah,
And I think at the end of the program, we may talk about some ideas of things they might want to stock up on, like
Yeah, yeah.
some
I,
disinfectants.
I know one in particular, back last year when things were really crazy, we couldn't get trigger sprayers.
Yeah,
So
right.
we were able to buy a huge amount of trigger sprayers. And I said, that's crazy. I mean, what are we going to do with all these trigger sprayers? I mean, we got them at, probably a better price than you can get them now. But now trigger sprayers all come from China, almost all of them, or someplace over there. So we've got a great supply of trigger sprayers that go with our disinfectant products. And then we have our other sprayers that we import from Germany. So we have a good supply of sprayers, fortunate because we bought them all last year when things were going crazy. So we're in a good position there, but things like caps and things like that are very difficult. But then we got all these problems with trucking and stuff. We're having trouble getting trucks to come in and pick up shipments that are going pretty far away because all those trucks that we talked about that a couple of shows ago where they're being diverted to by FEMA to help out in the Louisiana area. So yeah, the whole business sector is really screwed up, unfortunately.
In this kind of new type of life we're living with COVID doesn't look like it's changing radically very soon. Somebody said at one point early on, maybe almost a year ago, that SARS-CoV-2 virus and COVID might become endemic, meaning that it's something that we live with forever as a threat. And, it certainly seems that way. I mean, even Fauci is warning about not just, I'm sorry, Dr. Fauci.
Yes.
He was one of the first ones to talk about the Delta variant being so horrific. And then lo and behold, Delta variant became really horrific.
Yeah.
And he's now talking about other mutations that are variants that could make the Delta variant look like child's play.
Yeah.
So, like, holy smokes. But the good news is that we're kind of ramping our game up on how to deal with it. We're certainly focused on things to protect ourselves, things like masks, things like disinfecting and keeping areas extremely clean. And on top of all that, the vaccinations are helping to prevent widespread. In fact, I think you were telling me that, it's expected that, I guess, a presidential mandate is all large cleaning companies are going to have to require vaccinations, right?
Yeah, well, just in any company has more than 100 employees, and particularly if any company that's doing business with the federal government, they're mandated, regardless of the size. So yeah, as much as there's some people that object to the whole vaccination thing, it's one of our ways of dealing with this situation that we're not used to. I mean, we haven't been through this before, right?
I heard an interesting comment on the news just the other night, and they were saying, thank God we didn't have vaccine hesitancy when we were handing out vaccines for smallpox and diphtheria.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everybody did embrace that, and we pretty much shut down smallpox as a lethal threat. Things like polio, no longer a threat of paralyzing and crippling people. And there wasn't any vaccine hesitancy back then. And had there been, we might not have successfully shut those down.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a new kind of social challenge of trying to educate people. And what I think about a lot, we're involved with the cleaning industry, and I'm very close to the frontline workers, do a lot of training on that side of it. And one of the things I'm mostly concerned about is with all the people that are out there doing this cleaning work, are they doing all the right things to be safe? And there was an article that Amy Richardson of the ISSA put out beginning of September, and talked about the things that people that are actually doing cleaning need to be concerned about. Are they wearing the right personal protection equipment, and have they read the instructions, and are they using the products properly? I mean, you and I both know that you could take the world's best disinfectant and put it in the hands of somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
and they're not going to be successful. And
Yeah.
then the reverse of that's also true. I mean, you could take somebody with the world's greatest knowledge of infection control and disinfection, and if you don't give them the right tools to accomplish it,
Yeah.
they can't be successful. So it's really that marriage of the two that really makes it work.
Yeah. We're still getting questions about, can I use your product through a fogger, which surprises me that you would have thought that that would have been put to bed so far. But if you're wondering and you're listening, fogging directions on EPA registered products have to be specifically approved, and there's not many products that allow you to fog. And there's a difference between fogging and misting, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's all about droplet size.
Yeah.
And part of the issues regarding fogging is the required stay wet time to penetrate the either the cell wall of bacteria or inactivate a virus. So if you're just passing a mist over something like a fog, are
Right.
you really creating a damp surface that's damp long enough to penetrate the cell wall or to inactivate the virus? So I think
Yeah.
what causes a lot of the confusion is that there are countries overseas that have approved it.
Yeah.
And so people see that on the internet, since that's worldwide, and they don't realize that we have very, very high standards in the United States. Well, most of North America for that matter.
Yeah.
Very, very high standards. And it's got to be documented, not just a claim that it does it, but it's got to be proved.
Yeah.
And that's there's something positive to say about that. But
Yeah.
with all that said, I wanted to make sure I was throwing a shout out. Thank Amy for
Yeah. We'll
those
put a we
comments.
can put a link we can put a link on the Jancast page so
Yep.
people can go see that.
And our mutual friend Brant Inserno of the ISSA did an article recently which really validated a lot of what we've been saying about the new expectations of extreme cleanliness. And I really appreciated that support from the ISSA. And thank you, Brant Inserno.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, there's new technology coming down the road, so we've got a couple things on our
It's like
hit list.
magic wands, more magic wands and stuff.
Yes, yes.
Ray guns, maybe ray guns.
Yeah, yeah. It's like those salt guns for shooting flies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in a perfect world, you want to be able to just see everything and say, okay, that light switch over there needs to get zapped because I can see that there's stuff on it, right?
Yeah, well, that's the biggest challenge. We're dealing with the invisible enemy. I
Yeah.
was really impressed with an article that came out about literally we're joking about ray guns, and they're actually to go after ambulances, and rather than taking 40 minutes to decontaminating them, I guess they're misting them with water and microwaving the ambulances. And the idea that the microwave causes the water to boil and it disinfects the surfaces of the ambulance in 30 seconds. So I was thinking about that. I was like, man, that's like a ray gun, So like your kids are outside in the rain and they come in, you just hit them with a microwave and they disinfect them completely. Of course, I don't know if human beings would survive it.
The description of the method is that the method uses electromagnetic waves, antenna, sensor beacons, and a liquid layer to rapidly heat up and sterilize surfaces from a safe distance. What could go wrong with that?
Right? So one of the things that went through my mind when we were talking about it was, I wonder what that does to the gas tank. Like, what could go wrong with that? I don't know. I would think that maybe a lot.
It sounds like the Havana syndrome, where the CIA people are getting hit with microwaves and stuff. I don't want to joke about it. It's pretty serious, but I have no idea how this technology could possibly work without causing some amazing amount of damage to the vehicle, let alone the people. But
yeah,
I understand the concept of sterilization, but that's usually done in a very closed, like with a steel door that you close up because it'll blow up otherwise. Yeah.
I just can't imagine what it does to heat sensitive things like, gauze pads that have antibiotic stuff on it. Does that boil it? It's what happens? But anyway, it's just kind of comical.
Coming soon to a ambulance near you. But this
Well,
this
it's a
isn't
new.
this is in the UK. Just for everybody's info, the info came from the European Cleaning Journal.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see it in the US
Well,
anytime soon.
there is some new technology coming along, though. I mean, you were telling me even these things.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, the new app that's coming, there's multiple apps that use artificial intelligence. Get this, that you're able to record your cough, and through AI, they can determine what you might have, diagnose what you potentially have as far as respiratory illness based on the tone and the frequency of the cough. I mean, it sounds really cool to me. And it does sound like it's possible. I don't know how the heck you tell the difference between wheezing for pneumonia or asthma, but I don't know if it's going to end up being anything for COVID, but I think probably for more serious respiratory things.
It's just an indication of where things are going in the future rather than the old tactile techniques we used. For those of you who are wondering what tactile means, it means the sense of touch. It means you put your hand on your forehead. Yeah, it's warm. You got a fever. You put your hand on your skin. It's wet. Yeah, you're sweating.
Yeah.
So this is definitely more advanced than tactile techniques.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Don't worry about it, because you always have those antiviral coatings that you can get that protect against COVID for over a year. We brought that up on the last show, and I want to make sure that we're being very responsible and not calling out something that maybe is real, maybe isn't. But germwashing.com, we've called out some companies in the past, and you can go to the website and see it. But so I gave the company the opportunity to answer some questions as to what the technology was, what the product was that they purportedly have that's able to give a 1-year residual claim against COVID, or the pathogen involved with COVID. And nobody answered me. So I think it's fair that we can put it up. So we'll put a link below the video for that one as well. But there's always those miracle products, just like the airplane. Whatever happened to that study of those airplanes that were only allowed to fly in Texas that was giving residual activity beyond odor-causing bacteria? That was a big thing about a year ago, right?
Yep. And now you know what you hear? Crickets.
Well, they gave them special authorization to test the stuff out, but they could only do it in Texas, and like 1 or 2 airlines. And I don't know, it's funny how that just kind of disappeared, huh?
Yeah, well, but we still keep hearing rumblings about stuff. There was an article that came out recently about antiviral coatings used in hospitals for viruses. And you and I look at that and we're like, what are you? So, but here's the thing. They may work on some viruses. Think about HIV. HIV spreads on a surface, generally on the surface of a needle, right?
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, yeah, maybe that's valid. But when you're talking about a virus that is predominantly spread through airborne, like SARS-CoV-2 or TB even, those kinds of things, an antiviral coating isn't protecting somebody. My biggest fear about this stuff, Scott, is that people will back off of all the good things that they're doing, which is trying to keep things extremely clean and, masking up and doing all the right things. Somebody comes along and says, all you got to do is put this down, you're good forever. It's like, what's that do to all the good habits that we've created?
Yeah.
And trying to live a cleaner, more hygienic world, So, and with that said, people are always kind of concerned, I guess, about overdoing it when it comes to extreme cleaning. And, I guess some folks probably have been. There's a lot of different active agents involved with disinfectants, and some of them are rather innocuous and others are perhaps potentially toxic. And so the issue regarding whether or not there's been overuse of disinfectants and whether there's residues or kind of residual toxicity going on. I mean, those are questions that have been starting to come up quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's really pushed chemistry further. And we're pretty damn excited about some of the chemistry that we've pushed forward on this.
Yep, our new Eric CitroRx has done phenomenally well. It's bio-based, botanical, and the best thing is it's HMIS is 000 none, which that sounds like nothing to me. Across the board, can't nothing better than that.
No, that's probably the equivalent of the safety data sheet HMIS diamond on bottled spring water, right? So, but the best thing is it does carry the EPA endless registration for being effective on SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19.
Yep, and recognized by the DFE as well. Yep.
And right. So these are sometimes we get pushed into a tough spot like what COVID has done, and it forces everybody to evolve. And this is one of those very positive. It works with very traditional cleaning methods of pre-cleaning, application, allowed dwell time. And in some cases, you can pick up the slurry and do a rinse if you want, but it's residue-free and streak-free. We have people that are actually using it on glass counters in retail stores because it's streak-free. So that's a big advantage to it. Whereas in the past, people would spray down a disinfectant, allow the dwell time, dry it all up, and then hit it with a glass cleaner just to make their glass counters streak-free, right? So this is this kind of saves all those steps. Pretty remarkable. And the good news on it, there's been a lot of questions about electrostatic sprayers, and all the success data has been submitted to the EPA. And they operate like really rapidly, right, Scott?
Yes. In a perfect world.
So we're kind of just waiting.
So for the parents that are out there listening to Jancast, and we have a very broad audience, so I'm sure we have some. But so if your kids are going back to school, you typically put some pencils in their backpack and some other stuff. So I would suggest that you get a quart of CitroRx and send that into the school so your child has a great product to clean their desks. You don't have to worry about the safety of the product or anything else. So you can contact us for where to get it in your area, but just a suggestion.
There you go. I like that. That's no intentional inference there towards sales. But anyway, where we are really seeing some fantastic commercial opportunities beyond this consumer market is places that you have a lot of skin contact. And I love that about CitroRx. And think about fitness centers where you've got pads you put in your bare arms up against, or daycares they're playing with balls and toys, or certainly you mentioned the K through 12 school environment, even colleges. Some of those kids might want to clean their dorms and their off-campus apartments, but I've had people saying, well, how do you think this would work in like beauty salons and barbershops? And I'm like, it's pretty perfect for that because you do have a lot of potential skin contact. One of the things that I think about a lot is, who is actually following proper protocol when they're disinfecting the baby changing stations in public restrooms? Because if they're being sprayed down with like bleach and nobody's actually rinsing it afterwards, somebody's laying a naked infant down there to change a diaper, that's not cool. So the idea of a disinfectant like this that wouldn't have any kind of possibility of developing a rash or burn or whatever is, any area that's skin contact. And of course, Scott, we always like to say there is one skin contact area that we'd all should be concerned about.
Yes.
The toilet seat.
Oh, yeah. But actually, door handles are more dangerous than toilet seats, though.
Yes. So that's kind of the new studies on it, is that the average door handle has 30 times more infectious agents and elements on it than their average toilet seat. And that you and I were talking about that yesterday a little bit, that it's probably due to the fact that there's a high amount of attention and a high amount of task frequency assigned to restrooms nowadays, and bathrooms and toilet seats. And we need to make sure we're adapting that same level of task frequency to all our touch points.
Yep. Well, a
So
lot of
if you
info.
need something, contact us for availability in your area. We can help you out.
You got it. Well, a lot of info today. We were running over in time a little bit, but great show. And for everybody involved, tune in. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another show, and hopefully we'll be able to report that some of those ships have made it into port and are unloading, getting ready to go back to wherever they came from to get more stuff. Because oh, by the way, supply chain issues unrelated to the cleaning industry, artificial Christmas trees. If you're looking for one, you better get it now, because apparently there's a whole bunch of Christmas trees on those ships out there. So if you're thinking about getting artificial Christmas tree, good luck. But if you see one, buy it, because there's not a whole lot more coming in.
Good tips.
Tip of the day. Okay.
Yep.
See y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.